You know how usually when your shoulders are sore, well, for me anyway, when my shoulders are sore, it means that I've been tensing up really badly. This time it's just because I've been kayaking. It's funny to have a better kind of sore for my shoulders. It's good to be back. I hope you all have been well in my absence. I did a lot of walking. I did a lot of kayaking. I am tired. Yes, music is loud, don't worry. I thought I'd just come in a little bit early. Exercise sore does feel nice. Kayaking is a very funny thing. I think one of my favorite parts about kayaking is going into a space where animals just are existing as they normally do, and you arrive and they give you this look like you've just said something horribly, inappropriate. They're just like, who's this fucker? It's good to be back, everyone. I Oh no, hold on. I need to decipher what Ika Pika is saying again. Off jabroni activity. That is a very specific term. I adore kayaking though. Okay. Opinion. Strong opinion. Kayaking is one of the best sports if you, well, you know, not competitive sports. I'm not talking about competitive kayaking. I don't know the first thing about competitive kayaking. That term sport is kind of general, isn't it? It's used to describe just going outdoors, but it's also used to describe competition. Anyway, in terms of non-competitive sports, kayaking is easily one of the best. Because you have so much variance at like how intense you can make it. And if you get tired, you just stop and sit there. And you just kind of appreciate everything that's around you. The way that I kayak, I love to paddle and find placid places where I can just rest my oars down and look around and enjoy myself and say hi to the birds. Oh, Ezzy, I am philosophophic. I am terrified of deep water. But there's something beautiful about it. There's something really beautiful about it. Even diving, yes, it's terrifying. But the way... There's an almost meditative feeling where you have to let go of your fear of death when you are doing something so terrifying. And it's a beautiful feeling where you're just there, present. It creates this incredible presence. It's like easy meditation, maybe. Subnautica V2. Am I the only person who wasn't that into Below Zero? I enjoyed the first Subnautica a lot more than Below Zero. I feel like I'm not the only person who had that opinion. Legend, I studied meditation a bit in college. I studied Buddhism in college. And then I practiced it in the past, a few different kinds. I've tried Zen meditation and I've tried walking meditation. I want to take time to do it again. It was very beneficial for me, but there's almost a part of me that's afraid I'll become unmoored from myself in an unhealthy way if I take it too far. Maybe that's a silly fear. But it was having such measurable effects on me that I started getting a little worried. Mark down lukewarm take. Yeah. Oh, no, kayaking is one of my favorite things. I don't get to do it as much as I would like. Guided meditation is not something I ever did. I never did guided meditation, not really. I kind of just went into it. Like I learned about some of the history and the ideas around it, and then I actually attended a session with a Zen group, and I just kind of picked things up from them. Sorry, no T command. So I will tell you what we're having today. In fact, you'll see it because we have T cam today. We have a hand cam. Yeah, I've heard that it's nice to have someone guide you through meditation, Ezzy, but it's not my thing. I'd rather just kind of do it on my own. Also, Legend, the e-video's coming along well. My part is pretty much done. I just have to prepare the ground for Arc a little bit, but that's like, I don't know, a week of work, and he's more than a week out. Yeah, do un more video again. And actually, I wanted to run something by you guys. What if next week, before stream, I gather up some materials that I want to run through for the video after Eve, and then we research together? Because the topic that I want to cover after Eve is the Luddite movement. At least that's what's on the table. I have historically only ever canceled one topic. So it's possible that we don't go forward with it, but I need to do some preliminary research on it, even, like, I'd like to sort of break up the monotony of the editing, because it gets pretty boring. Especially what I have to do now is just adding zooms and highlighting quotes, and I'm adding credits to all the images and video, so it's like, it's dull. I'm gonna get bored. So I'm starting up research on the video after this one. It's not gonna slow anything down. Ark just needs his time. He's cooking. Yeah, I heard. Okay, I know that everyone is talking about how NFTs are dead. I'm gonna level with you all. I think they've actually been dead for a lot longer than people realize, because a significant volume of the trading that was occurring was wash trading. Is anyone here familiar with wash trading? It's a very simple concept. The idea is just that you secretly, like, you sell an asset that you have, but you secretly sell it to yourself, thus helping convince other people that this is what other people are willing to pay for it. And that was something that was rife in the NFT community, because where coins would often, like, I think wash trading was also sometimes done with cryptocurrencies / especially smaller ones, but NFTs are it's very prevalent because they're just individual things, right? They're an individual token. And so this happens in art as well, right? Like, all industries are, all industries have this. But NFTs were especially susceptible to wash trading because you can be so anonymous on the blockchain. So someone just makes a new wallet, or like has an old wallet that they've kept around and has a tiny bit of activity to give it some credence. They sell it to that wallet for a high price, and then they try to use that price to justify selling it at that price or around that price to someone else. And then that person is stuck with an NFT that nobody wants. It's very clever. It's absolute, the ethics of it are certainly dubious, but that happens. I wouldn't be surprised if most were guilty of that. Yeah. But yes, I absolutely love kayaking. I love the weird looks that birds give you as you placidly float by them. I also got to see a river otter, and it looked simultaneously incredibly curious and very nervous. I got to go with my family, and like spending time with my family is so lovely. I have the best family. I have here and there considered bringing my brother on. I am my brother. I am a prototype for my brother. Yeah, I met Chester IRL. Exactly. They were scared of me. You know, I haven't had my morning tea today, and I'm parched. You want to just start with it right now? I need to, you know what? I'll measure out the leaves real quick. And then why don't we get started with it? You know what? I'll measure the leaves under the camera. We're going to start with Sencha, because I haven't had Sencha today. Welcome in, everyone. Everyone coming in new. It's welcome to it is wonderful to have you. Me no talk good, me brain no work today. I'm trying to figure out if I should rest or like just power ahead. I've been learning to listen to my body better and figure out how to pace myself. That's something that I did not do for the first 5 years of Down the Rabbit Hole. Oh my god. Okay. I think I've talked about this a little bit, but when I started, my days looked like this. Roll out of bed, work on Down the Rabbit Hole, finally get hungry like early afternoon, eat, come back down, work until sleep. Those were my days. There wasn't a whole lot else in them. It wasn't good. That is a way to burn out hard. And I'm going to do my best not to do that again. I'm trying. Because there's still so much I want to do, right? It's not like I want to stop down the rabbit hole, but I also want to stream. And if I'm going to do everything I want to do, I have to pace myself. I want to do this as long as I can. Okay, one of the measures that I took actually to make sure that I don't burn myself out on, streaming. That's why I joined ASTRALINE. That's one of the reasons I joined ASTRALINE. They're covering so much of the stuff that I would otherwise have to worry about. And it's lovely. I am so thankful for them. I'm doing my best. Here, let's make tea. And then I want to acknowledge everyone who supported the streams. Because I am so thankful that people support all the weird little things that I do. Tea time. Okay. Oh, I need to make room. Okay, I might have to fiddle around and make room. Yes. This will do? Did I set this up okay? Did I set this up okay? Yes. Here we go. Okay. Step 1, we actually need to heat up the water. Oh, this is going to beep. There we go. So we're going to be drinking 2 teas today. Oh, you got a standee. Nice. Yeah, the debut merch is going to be disappearing pretty soon. So if you want to nab that, probably should do it sooner rather than later. Here we go. This is what we're going to be having. Please. Please focus. Please. It's Sencha from Stephen Smith. Yes, my meds. Hold it closer? Will that work? Please. Please. I beg of you. Okay, I'm gonna vomit. just going to measure out about 2.5 grams. And this kettle is full, so it's going to take a minute for the water to heat up. You know, so it goes. Ooh, that's a little more than I wanted. Oh well. We're having strong tea today. Why did you think the scale was a Game Boy Advance SP? I grew up with that. Okay, the big reason. Did anyone else end up getting a Game Boy Advance and a Game Boy Advance SP just because the backlight was necessary? Yeah, this is a fancy kettle. It's nice. Ah, it's warm, but it's not hot yet. I'm warming my fingers. It is cold. Looking forward to warming up my hands on my teacup. We just set the scale aside. Oops. Need hand warmers with kitty paws. How am I going to make tea if it has paws on them? I guess you could finagle it. Tank facts? Is your mom silently calling you out? They're my paws. Oh, my paws. I'm a moron. Also, in case you missed it, we have a name for this little fella now for my tea pet. Alfie named him Moistma. Moistma. Because for some reason... Oh, whoops. We don't want it that hot. We're going to steep this at 175 degrees. That's the plan. Yeah, I will show you the function of a tea pet in just a moment. Oh, there's still a little bit of tea left over. I'll clean that out later. Is Moistma eatable? Hold on. Nope. Nope. Not eatable. Sorry. So the first thing we're going to do is just heat up the shiboridashi. I don't even want to think about how long the Eve video will take to upload. Oh god. The rendering is going to take, like, forever. Fortunately, it's not. Like, it should take less than the runtime, but it's going to take goddamn forever. We'll see if YouTube likes it. We'll see how nice YouTube plays. It'll take a little while to render. But actually, Vegas has dealt with this video really well. Okay, so the first steep for this is going to be 45 seconds-ish. There we go. Gooseneck kettles are so nice. They make it so easy. Yes, this tea we will steep 4 times. 3 times at 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Then, the 4th time at 190. And different times each time. Oh dear, I forgot my strainer. Oh well, we're just gonna have some leaves in the cup. Mmm, tasty tea leaves. There we go. Perfect. I'm back. Yeah, good morning, tea leaves. Good morning to all of you. How have you all been in my absence? I hope you all have been well. I did so much walking and a bunch of kayaking, and my muscles are exhausted, and goodness gracious, I wanted to join Mary and Nick for their stream last night, and I just couldn't. I told Mary that I just had to rest. Yeah, I love camping. I love being in nature. I wasn't camping, but just being in nature is nice. Someone mentioned camping, and I'm just like, ooh, nice. I miss it. I haven't been camping in quite a while. God, some sencha just has such a nice, gentle flavor. And this is one of them. So even though I added a little too much leaf, it's still perfect. It's a gentle wake up. It's a nudge. I wanted to thank everyone who's been supporting stream. Seriously, everyone, thank you so much. Daniel Sidian with 8 months. Damn. Opossum Optimism. Thanks for the 7. NFTs are dead. I mean, they've been dead for a while. More dead than I think people realize. Jen Cat for the 19. Thank you. Aqua Monster for the 14. Sealy Jackman with the 2 years. Goodness. Pimpmaster Stallion with 25 months, just over 2 years. Mevelander with 14, Tebow with 11. Coyote Comrade with 20. Jimpy with 5. Donald the 4th with 3 months. Montblanc with half a year. Dr. Balls PhD with 20. Plico with 500 bits. Thank you. And with 25 months. Goodness gracious. Thank you. And Protector of Jam, thank you for the 23. Thanks for the 30 bits, Muda. Your crab bits. Oh, Mizuki Seraph, thanks for the fresh sub. Hey, welcome in. Oh yeah, these are the nutting hours. Non-fungible twink. Yeah? Yeah? That's how you're gonna go about this? Motherfucker? Oh, don't worry about it, Mizuki. You are welcome. You are welcome here. I have been reading, and I mean, I won't shut up about him, but I've been reading a lot of J.G. Ballard, and there is one theme of his that is always perplexing to me. And it's one that has run through the entirety of his career, and that is abandoned spaces that used to be populated. He likes the dead mall vibes. But there's something different about his. Usually his are not abandoned due to some sort of catastrophic event, like no bombs getting dropped into a space. Rather, the spaces tend to be gradually abandoned, sometimes for catastrophic reasons, but never in an explosive fashion. And so these places decay in such interesting ways. In one story that I read from him, the latest story that I read from him, and he's dead, by the way. He is a dead author, but he wrote a story about how suddenly humans started having really severe birth defects with their children. And these people were living in a city, right? Like they were living in Spain, in an abandoned city. And there's a doctor that lives near them. And he would fly inland in a plane. But instead of using one of the more stable highways, which, to be fair, were falling apart, he would use a runway that went out into the ocean. But over the years, the ocean had eroded away this airstrip. And even as this person continues to fly, the airstrip is being eroded away until one day he won't be able to take off and he will go straight into the ocean. And this is taking place in a setting where humanity is dying off just because they're only 1 in 1,000 births is viable. And it gets a little more complicated beyond that. I won't go too deep to bore all of you. But it's such a beautiful metaphor. A runway that is used every day, that is being whittled away bit by bit, until eventually we use it and we fall into the ocean. Vexthra, a number of his stories have been made into movies and shows. The two off the top of my head are Crash, which is a Cronenberg film, and also High Rise, and I think the show was not received very well. An iced peach oolong. Ooh, that sounds lovely. Tell him to bring out the whole ocean. Yes, J.G. Ballard did Crash. Inanaku, hello. You can always tell when I've gone live because you see sales of merch go through in the store. I'm glad that people like the merch. It's really lovely. They worked really hard to get it ready for San Japan and for the debut. Oh my gosh, you guys. Everyone behind ASTRALINE and all of the artists worked so hard. Oh, thanks for the 100 bits, Spec Ops Bear. Enemy group in City of Villains called the Luddites. Yeah, Luddites... So Luddite has entered common English vernacular as someone who resists technological change and progress. Yeah, that... So, it's not like they are an unknown concept. Like, their word is a descriptor. Like, their name is a descriptor nowadays. Like, the movement is dead. The movement is very dead, but some of their ideals live on. His power plant is fueled by demons. I'm still not over that in the world of darkness, what was it? The beer was being, people were putting demon blood into beer in order to make people beat their wives. The world of darkness is a mad setting. And this is the Vampire the Masquerade setting, for those who don't know. By the way, Inanaku, your name is very satisfying to say. There's a Dresden Files story where a god of love tries a similar thing with tainted beer that makes people so horny they start murdering. Yeah? Okay. It's old Japanese for mooing. Oh. Oh, Inanaku moo. Okay. I get it. Beer. I feel like I'm gradually coming back around to being alive. It's that I was dehydrated. I needed to become moistma. We have a sencha today, but then we're going to move on to a baozhong. Oh, J.G. Ballard has some absolutely fascinating, like, yes, he's a writer, so they're not represented visually, but I absolutely love the way that he describes these empty spaces and his concepts for them. His concepts are so fascinating. One of the best examples is The Drowned World, which I've talked about a little bit on stream, where it's considered the first book of climate fiction, where the world, like the world's climate is changing, and like that is a core part of the narrative. It's it was in that book. It wasn't human caused climate change. The sun just got very mad all of a sudden. Ika Pika, probably no art today, maybe tomorrow, not 100%. We'll see how it goes. But in The Drowned World, cities, like, because, you know, the sun is suddenly much hotter, angrier, the ice caps are melting, they raise the sea levels, and cities are now drowned. And there are reefs that will hold in this water sometimes. And it is fascinating. But then again, there is another interesting concept that he always seems to return to, and that is a very unscientific idea, which is fine, right? Like, he's not interested in perfect scientific accuracy. He's more interested in his metaphors and his ideas. In The Drowned World, something about the changing environment awakens something deep in humans' genetic memory, and also animals. Animals start physically changing very rapidly, as if there was a part of them waiting for this to happen. And this is another concept. Now that I'm talking about it, this is another concept that was brought up in shoot, I cannot remember the name of the story I was just talking about, where children born come with a lot of severe birth defects. They were like in this story, some of these humans were allowed to continue living, and they were just blind except to specific parts of the visual spectrum. And what this doctor posited was that humanity now was giving way to something much bigger. Something like a new form of human, another race. And that humanity's time had ended, and it was now making way for whatever this was. And the same sort of thing happens in The Drowned World, where the environment changes, and spontaneously, people start changing. Animals start changing. Of course, then again, J.G. Ballard also writes very goofy works of science fiction like The Life and Death of God, where God's existence is scientifically proven, and it causes world peace, but then humanity can't the established religions can't handle world peace, and so they introduce doubt again because the church had been made redundant, because you can come to God through knowledge rather than faith. It's so fucked. I think the funniest bit of The Life and Death of God was a little line about how a person, after God was scientifically proven, tried to hug a puma, and the puma ripped him apart. And the way he put it was, apparently the lower forms of life had not been informed of this revelation. And we're not capable of appreciating it. It's so fucking funny. It's so doofy in the best way. Like, make no mistake, this man is not worried about perfect realism. Read it to us sometime, maybe. Maybe. It's a very short story. I'm gonna finish off my cup and make more. Maybe we do that today. What do you all think? I could crack open that book and go and find it. The Life and Death of God. Let me just make another cup of tea. Read some of The Art of War. Ooh, The Art of War is surprisingly entertaining. Dry, but interesting. It's fun to read about military tactics from a long time ago. Oh, speaking of... hands cold. Speaking of, has anyone seen the new Total War game that's coming out next month? Total War Pharaoh, where it takes place just before the Bronze Age collapse. That seems like it'll be really interesting. I hope that they bring over some of the quality of life stuff I heard that was in Three Kingdoms. Yeah, the Beetle trailer. People were like, why is a bug rolling a ball of shit? I think the reaction to the trailer was really mixed, and it's like, but it's good. It's a good trailer. Damn it. I like it. Oh, so this steep, the second steep for Sencha, is always very, very short. You almost immediately take it away. Here, does this? Yeah, the camera captures some of the color. You can see how the broth is a little bit cloudy. The broth will be cloudy even if you strain out the leaves. Trailer is a literal piece of shit. What's the name of the object with the lid I was using? That's called a shiboridashi. Oh, isn't it a lovely tea set? I have so much tea paraphernalia. I'm gonna pull out my my teapot later. Oh my god. So ban teleporting helicopter? Please don't actually ban teleporting helicopter. You know what? Everyone give me a minute, because I'm gonna go and get that book. Wait, did you actually? Okay, no, you didn't ban. Slash ban does. Oh, it was backs. It was the wrong slash. Here, hold on. Give me a second. I am going to go and get that book. we're gonna well, you know, my short story collection. We'll be right back. Oh, Dr. Balls. That's awesome that I could convince you to start reading again. Again, short story collections. Great place to start if you're trying to get back into reading. Turn myself up a little bit. There we go. Okay. So, this is a very silly story. This is called The Life and Death of God. Here we go. Okay. So this is The Life and Death of God by J.G. Ballard. During the spring... Oh, my eyes will probably look like they're closed because I'm looking down, so please forgive me. During the spring and summer of 1980, an extraordinary rumor began to sweep the world. Oh, you know what? Maybe I can find a PDF of it. No, fuck it. I have the book. I like reading from a book. At first confined to government and scientific circles in Washington, London, and Moscow, it soon spread through Africa, South America, and the Far East, and among people in all walks of life, from Australian sheep farmers to Tokyo nightclub hostesses and stockbrokers on the Paris Bourse? Bourse? I actually don't know how to pronounce that. Rarely a day passed without the rumor reaching the front pages of at least a dozen newspapers around the world. In a few countries, notably Canada and Brazil, the persistence of the rumor caused a dangerous drop in commodity prices, and firm denials were issued by the governments of the day. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, the Secretary General appointed a committee of prominent scientists, churchmen, and business leaders with the sole purpose of restraining the excitement which the rumor was beginning to generate by the late spring. This, of course, simply convinced everyone that something of universal significance would soon be disclosed. For once, the governments of the West were helped by the sympathetic attitude of the Soviet Union and of countries such as Cuba, Libya, and North Korea, which in the past would have seized on the smallest advantage the rumor would offer them. Yet even this failed to prevent serious outbreaks of industrial unrest and panic selling. Millions of pounds were wiped off the London Stock Exchange after the announcement that the Archbishop of Canterbury would visit the Holy Land. A plague of absenteeism swept across the world in the rumor's wake. In areas as far apart as the automotive plants of Detroit and the steel foundries of the Ruhr, entire working populations lost all interest in their jobs and sauntered through the factory gates, gazing amiably at the open sky. Oh, the book toggle. Duh. Hold on. Duh. Fortunately, the rumor's effects were generally pacific and non-violent. Adjust. There. In the Middle East and Asia, where it confirmed beliefs already held for centuries, the news raised barely a ripple of interest, and only in the most sophisticated government and scientific circles was there anything of a flurry. Without doubt, the impact of the rumor was greatest in Western Europe and North America. Ironically, it was most rife in those two countries, the United States and Britain, which for centuries had claimed to base their entire societies on the ideals expressed by it. During this period, one body alone kept aloof from all this speculation: the world's churches and religious faiths. This is not to say that they were in any way hostile or indifferent, but their attitude indicated a certain wariness, if not a distinct ambivalence. Although they could hardly deny the rumor, priests and clergymen everywhere recommended a due caution in the minds of their congregations, a reluctance to jump too eagerly to conclusions. However, a remarkable and unexpected development soon took place. In a solemn declaration, representatives of the world's great religious faiths, meeting simultaneously in Rome, Mecca, and Jerusalem, stated that they had at last decided to abandon their rivalries and differences. Together, they would now join hands in a new and greater church, to be called the United Faith Assembly, international and interdenominational in character, which would contain the essential elements of all creeds in a single, unified faith. The news of this extraordinary development at last forced the governments of the world to a decision. On August 28th, a plenary meeting of the United Nations was held. In a fanfare of publicity that exceeded anything known even by that organization, there was an unprecedented attendance from delegates of every member nation. As the commentators of 100 television channels carried descriptions of the scene all over the world, a great concourse of scientists, statesmen, and scholars, preceded by representatives of the United Faith Assembly, entered the United Nations building and took their seats. When the meeting began, the President of the United Nations called on a succession of prominent scientists led by the director of the Radio Observatory at Jodrell Bank in Britain. After a preamble in which he recalled science's quest for a unifying principle that lay behind the apparent uncertainty and caprice of nature, he described the remarkable research work undertaken during recent years with the telescopes at Jodrell Bank and Arecibo in Puerto Rico. Just as the discovery of radioactivity had stemmed from the realization that even smaller particles existed within the apparently invisible atom, so these two giant telescopes had revealed that all electromagnetic radiations in fact contained a system of infinitely smaller vibrations. These ultra-microwaves, as they have been called, permeated all matter and space. However, the speaker continued, a second and vastly more important discovery had been made when the structure of these microwaves was analyzed by a computer. This almost intangible electromagnetic system unmistakably exhibited a complex and continuously changing mathematical structure with all the attributes of intelligence. To give only one example, it responded to the behavior of the human observer and was even sensitive to his unspoken thoughts. Exhaustive studies of the phenomenon confirmed beyond all doubt that this sentient being, as it must be called, pervaded the entire universe. More exactly, it provided the basic substratum of which the universe was composed. The very air they were breathing in the assembly hall at that moment, their minds and bodies, were formed by this intelligent being of infinite dimensions. At the conclusion of the statement, a profound silence spread through the General Assembly, and from there to the world beyond. In cities and towns all over the earth, the streets were deserted, traffic abandoned as people waited quietly by their television sets. The President of the United Nations then rose and read out a declaration signed by 300 scientists and divines. After 2 years of the most rigorous tests, the existence of a supreme deity had been proved beyond a shadow of a doubt. Mankind's age-old faith in a divine principle had at last been scientifically confirmed, and a new epoch in human history would unfold before them. The next day, the newspapers of the world bore 100 variants of the same headline: God exists. Supreme being pervades universe. I need a sip. During the following weeks, the events of ordinary life were forgotten. All over the world, services of thanksgiving were held, religious processions filled countless streets. Fuck. Channeling the Supreme. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Here we go. They were channeling the Supreme. It turns out Sri Chinmoy was right all along. He's searching for the brown note. Vast gatherings of penitents throng the sacred cities and shrines of the world. Moscow, New York, Tokyo, and London resembled medieval towns on an apocalyptic saint's day. Heads raised to the skies, millions knelt in the streets or walked in slow cavalcades, crosses and mandalas held before them. The cathedrals of St. Peter's, Notre Dame, and St. Patrick's were forced to hold continuous services, so great were the crowds that flocked through their doors. Sectarian feuds were forgotten. Priests of the United Faith Assembly exchanged vestments and officiated at each other's services. Buddhists were baptized, Christians turned prayer wheels, and Jews knelt before the statues of Krishna and Zoroaster. More practical benefits were to follow. Everywhere, doctors reported a marked drop in the numbers of their patients. Neuroses and other mental ills disappeared overnight as the discovery of the deity's existence worked its instant therapy. All over the world, police forces were disbanded. Members of the armed services were sent on indefinite leave pending demobilization. Long-closed frontiers were unsealed. The Berlin Wall was dismantled. Imagine that. Everywhere people behaved as if some immense victory had been won against an invincible enemy. Here and there, between particularly aggressive rivals, such as the United States and Cuba, Egypt and Israel, long-standing pacts of friendship were signed. Military aircraft and naval fleets were sent to the scrapyards, stockpiles of weapons were destroyed, however a few sporting rifles were retained when the spirit of universal brotherhood produced its first casualty, a Swedish engineer in Bengal who attempted to embrace a tiger. Warnings were issued that an awareness of God's existence had yet to extend to the lower members of the animal kingdom, where for the time being the struggle for life remained as pitiless as ever. To begin with, such isolated episodes were barely noticed in the general euphoria. Thousands of spectators sat around the great telescopes at Jodrell Bank and Arecibo, not to mention a number of commercial TV aerials and any other structures that vaguely resembled radio antennae, waiting patiently for a direct message from the Almighty. Gradually, people drifted back to work, or, more exactly, those who considered their work morally gainful. Manufacturing industry was able to keep going, but the agencies responsible for selling its products to the public found themselves in a dilemma. The elements of guile and exaggeration at the basis of all merchandising, whether on the level of nationwide advertising campaigns or door-to-door salesmanship, were no longer tolerable under the new dispensation, but no alternative machinery of distribution was available. The inevitable slackening of commerce and industry seemed unimportant during these first weeks. The majority of people in Europe and the United States were still celebrating a new estate of man, the beginnings of the first true millennium. The whole basis of private life had changed, and with it, attitudes towards sex, morality, and all human relationships. Newspapers and television had been transformed. The previous diet of crime reports and political gossip, westerns and soap operas had given way to serious articles and programs elaborating the background to the discovery of the deity. Zippy. This growing interest in the precise nature of the Godhead led to a closer examination of its presumed moral nature. Despite the generalizations of scientists and clergy, it was soon clear that the dimensions of the supreme being were large enough to embrace any interpretation one cared to invent. Although the deity's overall moral purpose could be assumed from the harmony, purity, and formal symmetry that the mathematical analyses revealed, qualities more pronounced in response to cohesive and creative actions than to random or destructive ones, these characteristics seemed little more specific in relation to man and his day-to-day behavior than the principles underlying music. Without doubt, a supreme intelligence existed whose being permeated the entire fabric of the universe, flowing in a myriad ripples through their minds and bodies like an infinite moral ether, but this deity seemed far less ready with explicit demands and directives than it had been in its previous incarnations. Fortunately, their god was clearly neither a jealous nor a vengeful one. No thunderbolt fell from the sky. The first fears of a judgment day, of darkening landscapes covered with gibbets, safely receded. The nightmares of Bosch and Bruegel failed to materialize, and for once, humanity needed no goads to make it regulate its conduct. Marital infidelities, promiscuity, and divorce had almost vanished. Curiously, there was also a drop in the number of marriages, perhaps because of a common feeling that some sort of a millennial kingdom was at hand. This widespread notion revealed itself in many ways. Great numbers of industrial workers in Europe and North America had lost all interest in their jobs and sat about on their doorsteps with their neighbors, gazing at the sky and listening to the radio bulletins. At the summer's end, farmers harvested their crops, but seemed much less enthusiastic about preparing for the coming season. The flow of pronouncements and the first disputed interpretations from the committees of divines and scientists still investigating the phenomenon of the deity suggested that it might be unwise to plan too carefully on an indefinite future. Within 2 months of the confirmation of the worldwide rumor of God's existence came the first indications of government concern over the consequences. Industry and agriculture were already affected, though far less than commerce, politics, and advertising. Everywhere the results of this new sense of morality, of the virtues of truth and charity, were becoming clear. A legion of overseers, timekeepers, and inspectors found themselves no longer needed. Long-established advertising agencies became bankrupt. Accepting the public demand for total honesty and fearful of that supreme client up in the sky, the majority of television commercials now ended with an exhortation not to buy their products. As for the world of politics, its whole raison d'etre, how do I pronounce that? I've never heard it spoken. Its appeals to self-assertion, intrigue, and nepotism have been destroyed. A dozen parliaments, from the US Congress to the Russian Chamber of Deputies and the British House of Commons, found themselves deprived of the very machinery of their existence. The United Faith Assembly was faced with equal problems. Although people still attended their places of worship in larger numbers than ever before, they were doing so at times other than those of the formal services, communing directly with the Almighty, rather than playing the part of a subordinate laity in a ritual mediated to them through a priesthood. Raison d'etre. Okay, right. Sorry, I don't exactly speak French. A lot of writers from this period loved sticking French in there. The former Christian members of the United Faith Assembly who remembered the Reformation and Martin Luther's revolt against a clergy claiming privileged access to the Supreme Being were, of course, perturbed by these developments. They were reluctant to accept the mathematical description of the deity offered by the world's scientists. But had nothing to offer in its place, and for the time being were on the defensive. The physicists, conversely, were only too quick to remind the clergy that their long-hollowed symbols, cross, trinity, and mandala, were based more on fancy than on the scientific reality which they themselves had made available. The long-standing fear of all churches that the revelation of God might come from knowledge rather than faith had at last been justified. The continued change in the character of life on both sides of the Atlantic began to disturb prominent members of government and industry. Conditions in the United States and Northern Europe were beginning to resemble those in India and the Far East, where legions of amiable beggars wandered the streets without a thought for the morrow. The kingdom of God might be at hand, but that hand was empty. During October... During October, little happened on the surface of events, but at the end of the month, a second meeting of the United Faith Assembly was held in Jerusalem. Here, a prominent archbishop publicly challenged the scientific view of the deity as a being of vast neural intelligence. Without doubt, the archbishop affirmed this was to take a naive and oversimplified view based on what were admitted to be crude methods of detection. Was the deity entirely passive, or, like the sea, did it reveal itself in many forms and moods? Remarking that he was not ashamed to refer to the Manichaean heresy, the archbishop stressed the dualism of good and evil that had always existed in the past, in man as in nature, and which would continue to exist in the future. This was not to suggest that evil was a fundamental part of man's nature or that he was incapable of redemption, but this passive contemplation of an invisible God should not be allowed to blind them to the inevitable antagonisms within themselves, or indeed to their own failings. The great achievements of mankind, its commerce, art, and industry, have been based on this sound understanding of the dual nature of mankind and its motives. The present decline of civilized life was a symptom of the refusal to see themselves as they were, a warning of the dangers of identifying themselves too closely with the Almighty. The capacity for sin was a prerequisite of redemption. Soon afterwards, as if cued in by the archbishop, a series of spectacular crimes took place around the world. In the Middle West of the United States, a number of bank robberies were carried out which rivaled those of the 1930s. In London, there was an armed assault on the crown jewels in the Tower. A host of minor larcenies followed. Not all these crimes were committed for reasons of gain. In Paris, the Mona Lisa was slashed by a maniac running amok in the Louvre, while in Cologne, the high altar of the cathedral was desecrated by vandals, apparently protesting against the very existence of a deity. The attitude of the United Faith Assembly to these crimes was unexpected. It greeted them with patient tolerance, as if relieved to see these familiar examples of human frailty. After the arrest of a noted wife poisoner in Alsace, a local priest pronounced that the man's guilt was in fact a testimony to his innocence, a sign of his capacity for eventual redemption. This tortuous paradox was to receive a great deal of publicity. A number of less scrupulous politicians began to foment similar notions. One congressional candidate, in a badly hit area of California where military aircraft had been manufactured, suggested that the notion of an all-pervading deity was an affront to the free choice and diversity of human activity. The sense of a closed world reduced man's powers of initiative and self-reliance, the qualities on which the free enterprise democracies had built their greatness. This statement was soon followed by the speech of a distinguished metaphysician attending a congress in Zurich. He referred to the plurality of the universe, to its infinite phenomenology. To embrace all possibilities, the deity would have to contain the possibility of its own non-being. In other words, it belonged to that class of open-ended structures whose form, extent, and identity were impossible to define. The term deity was, in any useful sense, meaningless. The scientists at Jodrell Bank and Arecibo who had first identified the Almighty were asked to reconsider their original findings. The televised hearings in Washington, at which the tired-eyed astrophysicists were harassed and cross-examined by teams of lawyers and divines, recalled a latter-day Inquisition. At Jodrell Bank and Arecibo, troops were called in to protect the telescopes from crowds of over-hasty converts. The fierce debates which followed were watched with great attention by the public. By now, in early December, the Christmas season was getting underway, but without any of its usual enthusiasm. For one thing, few stores and shops had anything for sale. In addition, there was little money to spare. The rationing of some basic commodities had been introduced. In many ways, life was becoming intolerable. Hotels and restaurants were without service. Cars were forever breaking down. Everywhere, as the debate continued, people turned to the United Faith Assembly. Mysteriously, however, almost all churches were closed. Mosques and synagogues, shrines and temples remained sealed to the unsettled crowds. Members of congregations were now selected as strictly as those of the most exclusive clubs, and applicants were admitted only if they agreed to accept the church's guidance on all spiritual matters, its absolute authority in all religious affairs. A rumor began that an announcement of worldwide importance would shortly be made, but that this time it would be given only to the faithful. The mounting atmosphere of unease and uncertainty was distracted for a few days by the news of several natural disasters. A landslip in northern Peru immolated 1,000 villagers. In Yugoslavia, an earthquake shattered a provincial capital. Icebergs sank a supertanker in the Atlantic. The question asked tentatively by a New York newspaper, "Does God exist? Faith Assembly casts doubt on deity," was relegated to a back page. 3 weeks before Christmas, war broke out between Israel and Egypt. The Chinese invaded Nepal, reclaiming territory which they had only recently ceded while under the spell of what they termed a neo-colonialist machination. A week later, revolution in Italy, backed by the church and military, ousted the previous liberal regime. Industrial output began to revive in the United States and Europe. Russian missile-firing submarines were detected on maneuvers in the North Atlantic. On Christmas Eve, the world's seismographs recorded a gigantic explosion in the area of the Gobi Desert, and Peking radio announced the successful testing of a 100-megaton hydrogen bomb. Christmas decorations had at last appeared in the streets. The familiar figures of Santa Claus and his reindeer hung over 1,000 department stores. Carol festivals were held before open congregations in 100 cathedrals. In all this festivity, few people heeded the publication of what was described by a spokesman of the United Faith Assembly as one of the most far-reaching and revolutionary religious statements ever made: the Christmas encyclical entitled, "God is Dead." Yeah. That is The Life and Death of God by J.G. Ballard. Yeah. It is the weirdest story. And I think one thing that I appreciate about J.G. Ballard is he's much more interested in just creating a scene than trying to cover for every possibility. Almost fell asleep? Okay, that makes me happy though. I haven't read the 9 billion names of God yet, no. Basically, it was... that story's rather thick. It's something I could imagine reading for like, for a high school class, and then just spending multiple classes picking it apart. It's such... That was published in the 1970s, by the way. 1976, I think it was. It's true. Mary came on my stream at one point, and I read him a story, and he fell asleep. And it was very cute. It's short. Okay. Wait a minute. I think I might know. 9 billion names of God. Am I familiar with this? No, I'm not. If you enjoyed that story, by the way, and you want something that's maybe a little bit less esoteric, what's that story? What's that story by Isaac Asimov? Is it called Let There Be Light? No, it's called The Last Question. I would highly recommend The Last Question by Isaac Asimov if you enjoyed that. Is Storytime going to be a regular thing? I don't know. I hadn't thought about it that far. I don't want people to come into the stream and be like, oh, I'm coming partway in, and think, oh, like, I've come in too late, right? I don't want to do that. That's not quite how stream works. I love, something I love about Isaac Asimov is all of his characters just feel very human, even the ones that are like incredibly intelligent and intense. But ASMR really? I don't think I'm an ASMR streamer. Yes, Ender Cobra, I need to catch up with audiobooks for Patreon. Right now there are, I've had other obligations that, my life is kind of in triage. It has been. But I want, especially after this video launches, I want to record audiobooks. Could be easily. Unintentional ASMR. I guess, like, I don't do typical ASMR things, though. Well, the reason my life has been in triage is because I needed to get my part for the new Down the Rabbit Hole finished. That was just too important. I needed to make sure that Ark had everything he needed to keep going. Oh, thanks for the raid, Cheesy Draws. Welcome in. Also, Hourly B, thanks for the 14 months. Yeah, I was reading a short story that I was talking about. And Valken, thanks for gifting a sub to Farah. ASMR Fredrik tells you the water is the wrong temperature for that tea. Isn't the raid animation so cute? It makes me kind of sad that I don't get raided very much. I think it's because of the time that I stream. I'm associated mostly with American streamers, but I stream earliest among American streamers, so, you know, don't get a lot of raids. Just how it goes. I get to be the beginning of the train, right? I'm the locomotive. Hold on a second. Okay. No, I need to, wait a minute. Yes, I have 2 more steeps left of this sencha, and I'll be damned if I don't make them. I'd like to get to the Baochong today, and show you all my cute teapot. Ooh. There we go. I need to put the book down somewhere. Uh-oh. JG Ballard, you're going on the floor. Sorry, buddy. It's the return of Moistma. Okay. So this time, for this 3rd steep, we are going to steep the leaves for about 1.5 minutes. I'm being pretty generous with the water. I don't mind if a little bit flows out. There we go. We'll leave it there. Ah. It's not that cold, but I like this jacket. It's a little chilly. I like leaving the windows open overnight. Let the cool air in. And I don't like turning on the heater unless I unless I absolutely have to. No, I'm not on the floor. Would a normal loose leaf brewing work just as well? These are really nice because, as you can see, the reason these are so nice is they give the leaves tons of room to float about, and so it can steep most effectively. The more room, the general rule is the more room you have for the leaves, the better. This is one of the reasons that tea bags really aren't great. It's because all the leaves are stuck inside of this little space, and it's hard for the water to percolate through. That's why things like teapots with strainers at the spout and gaiwans and shiboridashis like this are generally favored. Uni! Oh my gosh, hello! Storyteller Uni. Welcome in. We got done reading a very odd story just a minute ago, and actually, you know what? It's been an hour and a half. I personally would like to stretch my legs. Maybe that makes me a weak... I'm not a gamer. I'm too weak. So here's what we're gonna do. Everyone, it's time to stand up, stretch your legs, stretch your arms, get yourself a sippy. If you haven't made your own tea, or just want some water, coffee, hydrate yourself. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. I'd like to stretch. We'll be right back. Hello. Hello, hello. I'm back. I chugged my tea, so it's time for the fourth steep of the sencha already. I was thirsty. I didn't drink as much while I was out. I did have fun looking at the sky, thank you very much. And contemplating God. What's a good tea for people who aren't quite accustomed to it yet? Okay. There are a few possibilities. One might be fruit teas. So teas that are just made from like chunks of fruit. But also, if you want genmaicha is a really good way to start. That like genmaicha, it's pretty forgiving. It tastes quite roasty. Because it has roasted rice in it. Genmaicha is the perfect tea for when you want tea but you don't know what kind you want. For a soda drinker, it's a little tricky because it is just so... Soda is just such an intense sweetness, and tea does not tend to have that sweetness. If it's sweet at all, then it's a note. Like the sweetness is just a mild flavor note. But in terms of good starter teas, genmaicha is a good place to start. If you want a really strong flavor, maybe this is kind of mean to suggest, but lapsang souchong. Lapsang souchong, I have heard called bacon tea in the past. Because it is just smoked. Like, it is a black tea that is... it literally is smoked. And it smells delicious. I have steeped it before. I steeped it back when I was living with my family. And my dad came into the room when I was making some, and he was like, "Whoa, like, are you making bacon? Can I have some?" And I'm like, "No, Dad, I'm just making tea." And he was like, "Oh," and he left and was disappointed. He wanted bacon. Assam is like your most basic black tea. Assam, like, I don't typically sweeten my teas, but with Assam, some cream and sugar is nice. Would actually recommend that. Lapsang souchong, yeah, it is fantastic. However, when you drink it, just know that smell will stick to you all day, and that flavor will not leave your sinuses all day. Just be ready to smell like lapsang souchong. Assam will pair well with fruit syrup. Assam is just a tea that pairs well with a lot of things. I'd recommend experimenting flavoring Assam. You'd be surprised what works with it. I'm not a big Assam drinker. Like, I don't drink a lot of Indian teas, just in general. They tend to enjoy very strong and bitter flavors. And I like to just have tea straight. Like, I don't like adding cream and sugar. It is like drinking a campfire. It is. Particular tea for different points in the day. I don't tend to drink teas depending on the time of day, but I do tend to drink teas depending on the weather. So, if it's a cool day, I might have one kind of tea compared to another. If I want something comfy, right? If it's a cloudy day or a rainy day. Welcome in, Tengu Lord. I often, I will say, if I will start the day depending on like the weather, with tea, but if I am drinking a lot of tea and I'm making a different kind of tea later in the day, sometimes I will choose something gentler. Something like Jasmine Dragon is really nice for the evening. It's comforting. Jasmine is such a comforting flavor. Sleep well, Ika Pika. Good to see you, bitch. Angel Taz Devil, thanks for the 15 months, by the way. And Adam.png for the 20. Oh yeah, Owl. We are no longer Owl. We are human that is owl-like. Watch this. Look, we have some echoes. I love how wiggly these are. Okay, I would like to make the last bit of my sencha and then move on to Baochong. So give me, you know what? Here. We're doing it right now. Oh, thank you, Uni. Ooh, the timer's still going. We're gonna steep it for about 2 minutes, but first of all, we need to bump up the temperature to about 190. Oh yeah, Uncle Iroh is like the person. I don't have a lot of role models. I don't really think in those terms. But if I were to have one, Uncle Iroh has the qualities, has many of the qualities which I want. Yeah, exactly. Uncle Iroh aspirational. Can you have this set up for your room? I mean, this isn't exactly an like, I guess it's a little expensive. It's like you add everything together, it's on the spendy side. Like, but I drink so much tea, right? Like this tea tray was actually a gift from my composer. A very sweet and thoughtful gift. So I don't even know how much this tea tray was. Probably not expensive. It's ceramic though. The Shibori Dashi I think was like 20-30 bucks. This cup, however, if you just want something, if you want something like this Shibori Dashi that'll get the job done, you can find tea tasting kits online that include a steeper and a cup just like this one. They are very cheap. They're like 25 bucks, and it's everything you need to start making tea, except for maybe a kettle. But I mean, you can heat water in a bunch of different ways. But yeah, the tea tray is really nice. It just catches water and catches tea that spills. But it also has another funny little function. We will be having this in a little bit. This. Oh, I can't even see it on the screen. Gimme. We'll be having this. It's a competition style baochong that I cannot believe I got for the price that I did. I cannot believe how cheap they were selling it for. Yeah, competition style tea is just tea that focuses on being smooth, on having a sort of creamy mouthfeel and not being bitter. Like, there are a few qualities that make tea that you're aiming for with competition style teas. I would say they're actually more, they tend to be more accessible, though they also tend to be a little expensive. That tea I got there, the competition style Baozhong, I got for a steal. I still can't believe how, like, what they were selling it for. It's like they were trying to get rid of it. So you're seeing me pour it twice. What I like to do is pull the leaves back to get all of the liquor, because all of the liquor that's at the bottom there is going to be the most flavorful, and it will have an impact on the flavor. You also don't, like, some people will leave a little bit of liquid at the bottom in order to seed the next steep, but I don't do that. I just try to get everything out of this, because oversteeping sencha can be real unpleasant. Hi. Welcome in, everyone. I've been seeing a lot of new faces. It's nice to see all of you. I wouldn't say I'm a brew master. I do it a lot, right? Like, I haven't studied it a ton. A lot of what I know, I've just picked up from doing, right? Like ordering tea, doing little bits of research here and there, noting differences, testing, experimentation. Because tea is making tea is a constantly evolving process. You learn how to, every tea has its own desires. Every tea has its own personality, and sometimes the same tea harvested from a different year can be very different. It makes a big difference. And you kind of learn this. So every time you get a new tea, you have to take a little bit of time to learn its peculiarities, learn its temperaments. Some teas are a little more forgiving. Some teas are harsher. Some teas want more precision. Some teas are forgiving. Every tea really does seem to have its own personality. Yeah, Purple Moon, you do get to know the tea over time. As you steep it over and over, you tweak things. You steep it a little bit longer, and sometimes you adjust the next steep based on the previous steep. Teas you find in Chinese supermarkets? I've had a few that can be bought in, like, Asian grocers, and they're not bad. Like, I actually have found decent teas in Asian grocers. What's the tea I find the easiest to make? Well, I mean, fruit teas, obviously. Like, not counting herbal teas. Not counting herbal teas. Easiest tea is probably Ansi oolongs. And Ansi oolongs, they are a kind of Jieguanyin, which is more modern. Classically, historically, Jieguanyin has been a very richly roasted tea, very heavily oxidized. But Ansi is greener, much less processed. And I have found that those teas tend to be, they tend to be very forgiving. They'll have some really nice, gentle, like gentle but strong flavors. How do I put it? Like, the flavor is very obvious, right? It's not a light flavor, but the flavors are gentle. Like, they're not offensively strong. They're not like an Assam. They're not like a black tea. Or sencha. Tea brewing book win. I might make a PDF. Like, I keep talking about making a PDF that just kind of collates everything that I know and my experience making tea. And I need to do it. I just need to find the time. If I were a tea, which tea would I be? I don't know. This actually kind of speaks to something that I've been thinking about recently. Because doing VTubing, like I've been doing, obviously I was gone for a week. But doing VTubing, right, and joining ASTRALINE has forced me to confront something about myself that I haven't really felt the need to do much. And that is in the process of, making this model and everything associated with it, and with him. Look at him so animated. And the branding, I've been forced to try to understand like an identity. But the problem is I don't have a very strong identity. It's not something I've thought of. I just never worried about it much. And while I was gone, over the last week, I came to a conclusion. Any identity that I have is prescribed. Because I just don't see myself in any particular way. I just do things. I have things I like. I have concepts that interest me. And I've come, what I've had to do in order to, try to find an identity, I had to for the sake of streaming. And I just had to accept that I need to identify how other people see me, because usually I don't think too much about it. Cinderquills, it's not so much that I didn't consider my model a part of me, but it's more like there's more going on with this, right? There's merchandise, right? Like, I have merchandise now. That's not something that I ever really thought about much. But it's something that I even, the part of the reason I joined ASTRALINE is for them to help me figure this out. Identity being prescribed to me is true. Yeah, I just am. I'm not worried about identifying as anything. That's something that other people do to me. And that's okay. Maybe that's okay, right? I love books, but are they part of my identity? I don't know that I would say so personally for me, but it is how people perceive me. I more so just let other people perceive me how they will, and I simply do. I'm a lot more interested in doing than being. When is ASTRALINE the flamethrower? The kids love this one. And finally, Spaceballs the doll. But I think that's okay. I think it's okay to just be. To just do what you want. I'm not interested in being a particular way. Depersonalization? Yeah, I guess. That feels like too strong of a way to put it. It's my favorite Pokemon, Haunter. I like Haunter. That's legit, Pippi. That's valid. I will say, it is a ghost, yeah. No, that's valid, Pippi. And I'm glad that could help you come to terms with that. I know that is the direction a lot of people go. It's just not a direction that I've ever felt compelled in? Well, I was very concerned about how I was perceived when I was younger, and I've worried less about that as I've gotten older. Now I just want to do things. I want to make things. And maybe resonate with people who are interested in the same things. Psyduck is a mood. But if I can recommend anything, if you feel lost and you don't know who you are, the best recommendation I can give is, rather than worrying about being something, trying to add a label, whatever that label might be, that label could be anything. It could be something as fundamental as gender, right? Like, how do I express myself as masculine or feminine? Or do I prescribe myself as a certain subculture, gamer, jock, or just like a sports person? Sports can absolutely be a part of your, like, people make it a part of their identity, right? I play basketball. Furry is another example. Do I latch myself onto furry? I think sometimes people use people do that with their sexuality as well. They say, like, I am, like, they make it a part of their identity. But and that works for some people. But if you are struggling with an identity, then the best thing that you can do is just do. Because I spent a lot of my childhood trying to latch onto an identity, and none worked. None of them worked. But as soon as I let go of that and started just doing the things I wanted to do, that was when I felt more freed. Because I always tried to put myself into a box, saying, oh, a person with this identity, like right middle and high school, metalhead. I eventually tried to fit into that one. Metalheads are like tough, right? And they they only listen to this music, and they it boxes you in. I personally feel like typically identities most frequently become boxes that limit us. If I still identified myself as like a metalhead, I probably wouldn't allow myself to just leisurely paddle down a placid river and enjoy being stared at weirdly by the birds and the otters. I wouldn't permit myself to do that. I think that the end game of identity can be very limiting. Maybe it's not for everyone, right? I think that identity can be a guide for some people on how they want to act. And that's valid. It's useful for some people. But know that it's not necessary to be fulfilled. I don't think so. If it's a useful tool for you, sure. But for me, it was always restricting. And besides, other people will find identities for you anyway. Ender Cobra, thanks for the 40 bits. Do you feel behavior falls into this? Well, I mean, behavior is just something you do, right? Behavior is habits. And the best advice I can give there is just If you want to cultivate habits that reflect the things that you want to do, then cultivate them. Take the time to cultivate habits, because habits are formed whether consciously or unconsciously, and you can form them consciously. Taking time for yourself, right? That's an example. One thing that I stopped worrying about so much, when I stopped worrying about identity, what I have started to focus on more over time is accentuating the qualities that I want to express. Rather than asking myself, what do I want my identity to be? Instead, I ask, what qualities do I like in a person that I want to make a part of myself? And then I have cultivated habits that have helped to express those. That's worked for me. You didn't like when people categorize you in a way that you didn't? This is one of the unfortunate truths of existence. You will always, no matter what, be subject to the descriptions and definitions of other people, and they will frequently be incomplete. Being a content creator, this is very common for me. This has happened to me throughout my entire career. People decide that I am something. They decide that, or they place some sort of expectation on me sometimes, or they assume that I am a certain way. This is eternal. This is an eternal thing. But the hardest part of this is just accepting that it happens. That other people are just going to create identities for you and then assign them onto you. I know that the advice of it's just gonna happen and you have to there's nothing you can do about it sucks. But it's just a fact of life. Especially when people only know a narrow slice of you. It's something that you have to accept like the weather. Twink is less of a Linnaean taxonomy and more of a Platonic ideal. Yeah. Humans are organizational creatures. We're ducky. Yeah, that's true. Humans like to organize things, and that includes people. Yeah. To rarity, I think that identity is a tool. It is useful for some people to give themselves permission to do things that they otherwise would not be willing to do that they want to do. And it is lovely in that way. I also don't think that it's necessary. For some people it is very useful, and that's fine. But it's a tool. A tool can be extremely useful, it can make your life easier, and it can also injure you. Its identity sometimes is kind of like a chainsaw. It's a way to just power through something intense that is in your way. But it also can injure you. It can bite into you. And it can hamper you. And also it can get stuck. Identity is like a chainsaw, a medical device. Ah, yes. Yeah, Ezzy, I think that identity can become a crutch. It can be. I see what you're saying, Aqua Monster. Yeah, so you're using it, yeah, as a tool for what you are interested in. Yeah, that is absolutely valid. Yeah, I think that you're operating under a different definition than I am, because when I talk about identity, I'm talking about a general state of being, which is prescribed onto a person. It can be a, you can use it in that way to say like, oh yeah, I'm a gamer, right? Like, I play video games. Like, immediately, you can create some sort of connection, right? Or I'm a bored gamer. And immediately, people, like, understand. It can help. It can be useful, but don't let it become you. Identity is useful for describing your experience and relating to those who have had similar experiences, but is not super helpful if you are trying to force a label to fit to be accepted by others. Sometimes, oh, whoa, my eyes are blinking funny. Oh my god, my model's eyes. Am I blinking like a lizard in real life? Hold on, let's see if I can do it purposefully. Lizard. Hold on. Let's see if I can really get it. Let me up. Zoom in, bitch. Okay, ready? We're gonna go lizard eye. Oh god, I can't do it. I can't do it purposefully. Okay, if I like... Oh, I can't do it. God damn it. Sorry, Feathers. I think this is the reason why so many people think I have ADHD. I'm not licking my own eyeballs. Maybe I need to get in contact with Susu and see if she'll be willing to add that on. Can we like get a an eyeball lick animation? That sounds like something that Juniper, right? Like that Junie would do. The moth. Licka. Yeah. Yeah. Feynman, I think that that's a good way of putting it. The problem starts when you yourself start saying, I can't do this thing, not because it's bad or I don't like it, but because it's not expected of my identity. That's the antithesis of why people started using them to begin with. I mean, hopefully. Sometimes people put themselves in a box for because it makes them more accessible to other people, easier to understand. Sometimes. Asking her Discord if that's true. Juniper would absolutely do that. Domi Dexterous, thanks for the 18 months. Licka da eyeball, Laika da gecko. Yes. Delicious. Also, Emmy, thanks for the 100 bits a minute ago. Oh, just sharing some of her favorite Pokemon, Roserade, Gardevoir, Lilligant? I don't know who that is. I stopped playing after the 3rd generation. Yeah, Jinpy, these streams really are just kind of me musing. Most people are contradictory. I just wouldn't get too bogged down in labels. You remember only the good ones after 3rd gen? Like Spectral, yeah. Sometimes other people will take hold of your identity and start telling you what you can and can't do with it. That's something that happens very frequently. If you identify as something, then other people can come in and prescribe their concept of that identity onto you. A real gamer doesn't play, I don't know, Farmville. Real gamers, real strategy gamers don't do this, right? Like they don't play like this. These are the 40 bits ender. Behavior falls into this. It can be attached to identity, but it doesn't have to be. Did I already respond to that? Yeah, I already read that. Small brain. I was gonna say, I thought I already talked about this. Real gamers play Dark Souls. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I would say, use it, but be careful with it. Like anything. I've just been forced to think about it. Identity is not something that I have thought about for a long time. But I had to think about it. Because, you know, I'm getting branding. What the shit? That's weird. And the branding is based on me. It's just based on me and what I like. It works as shorthand. Do you whole tank? I like shield tanking. When I was running Logi, I ran Ospreys. I ran in a cap chain. You know, Pokemon was one of the first identities that I latched onto. No tank facts. We're not. Oh. Wait. Have people... Hold on, I always forget to do this. Uh-oh. Have people been tipping and I just haven't seen? Oh my god. Okay, let me see. Nope, we're fine. We're okay, we're okay. I was really worried. Pokemon Smash or Pass? Not sure that I'm down to do Smash or Passes. I used to run whole-tanked mining ships with more Webbers than mining lasers to trap people who raided the system. Oh, always tip your Logi. Right. It's... Okay. I liked running Logi. Actually, what I mostly did when I played Eve was map wormholes. I found it very satisfying and very meditative. I don't mind being space poor. I just wanted to do the things I wanted to do. If I ever jump back into EVE Online, I'll probably join the Signal Cartel. That's almost certainly what I'll do. And I probably won't do much beyond it. Oh, what? Okay. Hugo Habit? Habicht? Thanks for the fresh sub. Thank you very much. I hope that this conversation hasn't been too uncomfortable, though. And by the way, if you disagree with me, that's fine. Like, I'm unbothered. It's not like my opinion is the last say. Oh, Illustrance. Thanks for gifting out a sub. Enjoy, I am Mr. Ma'am. Mom, I'm uncomfy. Stream is uncomfy. Disgusting. Another hype train, oh my god. Choo choo, all aboard the scam train. We already have access to the best global emote. Dino Dance. I can't believe that one is so good. Oh, Mizuki Seraph. Thanks for gifting a sub to I Can Do This. Eccentricity. Thank you. Oh, actually chill stream. I'm glad. I don't exactly aim for it. It just kind of happens. Oh, I got to actually meet Yonkagor for the first time yesterday. What a sweetheart. And he was just like, your voice is so comfy. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck? Speaking of Yonkagor, you might be able to expect a song cover maybe coming in the near future. Maybe. Just, maybe. They're forcing my hand. Of course, I refuse to do anything normal, so we'll see. We'll see. Alfie does have a calming voice. I want to hang out with Alfie again. I'm gonna bother Alfie and see if she wants to come on. Ooh. What if I had Alfie on for the Down the Rabbit Hole research stream? For those who came in a little bit late, I was considering doing a stream where I put together some sources that I want to check out for research for the Down the Rabbit Hole after the Eve one. And I check it out on stream, and maybe we have Alfie on because it's going to be a historical topic. I'll bet that she'll be into that. Yeah, her birthday stream is this weekend, and I'm going to be crashing it. I'm going to be poking in and saying hello. Tales from the Loop. I've heard of this before. One thing that I want to do on the stream is check out a bunch of different analog horror series, because I love analog horror, but I just have not taken the time to really look at a ton of them. I'll take suggestions. You guys have good analog horror suggestions? Like, gimme right now, for real. I'm gonna ask Nick, obviously. I'd love to take Nick along for that. Squirrel teeth. Thanks for the 4 months. You're a little early for the birthday. But thank you. The sun is gone. Okay, the sun is gone. Smile tapes. Monument Mythos. That's what people were asking about. I haven't checked that out yet. Tales from the Loop. Okay. The Walton Files. Okay. Rev has done something. You know what? I'll ask Rev about this too. Okay, what else? Midwest Angelica. Vita Carnis. I did see Vita Carnis. I didn't watch it on stream, but I did check it out. It was okay. I know about Petscop. I've seen the Nick videos. Anything new in the Mystery Flesh Pit? Don't think so. Don't worry. When I do this, I now have schedules up on my Twitter. Do we have a Twitter Nightbot command? Socials, right? We have a social command on Nightbot. Follow me on Twitter and you'll see my schedule. Monument Mythos is scary in an existential dread kind of way. That's my shit. That's me. I love that. We watched Gemini Home Entertainment on stream with Shia. Shia joined us for that. The Service. I'll go and take a peek at that. I'm going to take a peek at these before I really dig into them. Monument Mythos is stupid in a fun way. Wasn't the Monument Mythos the one where James Dean becomes president? I remember Shia talking about it on their stream. Thalison, I think, has a little bit more of an expanded universe. A Suez Canal crab. Good. Children of the Mirror. Ooh. Oh, Nick enjoys more existential, larger horror. He absolutely does. A monument moves to one side and a spooky devil pops out. I see. Yeah, it's just Gooseworks doing weird stuff, I thought. Oh, I absolutely want to bring Nick on for some horror goofiness. 100%. The sun vanished. The sun vanished. That's okay. The sun is gone. The sun is gone. I want to hang out with Hina again. I love hanging out with Hina. And we will watch... we didn't watch Local 58 on stream. Fuck, that's where we start. Ooh. I'm going to bother Nick. I'm going to bother Nick and see if he wants to check out Local 58 with me. I wonder if he has anything to say. Like, if he'll want to share stuff. The Mandela Catalog. Did someone already say the Mandela Catalog? No. Isn't that a podcast? Or am I just wild? Like, am I out here wilding? Wait. Has Game Pixels done anything new? You're wild? Because he started a new series, The Oldest View. Is there anything new there? No. Probably working on his Backrooms movie. But Beneath the Earth is very good. Back to Marble Hornets. Rev recommended a game that we might do on stream at some point. He recommended Chance of Sinar, which is a game where you're dropped into a culture with fake languages, and then you have to use those fake languages to decipher other fake languages. That's the way that he described it. Oh, thanks for the 2 months, Caffeine Kangaroo. Oh, thanks for the 100 bits, Blue Dino Falcon. So Tales from the Loop got an Amazon miniseries, but the artist Simon Stalenhag has a ton of similar works made since then. I'm going to write that name down next to Tales from the Loop. Okay, got it. I am saving all of these. Thank you so much, everyone. This actually is really helpful. Earnestly. No one said Eratus yet. No. 10. Thank you. What is this new guy? Is me. Surprise. Marble hornets. Hold on a second. Let me just put on my whore netting. Okay. Who's ready for some competition style Baozhong? Because I'm ready for a new tea after Sencha. Sencha is a lovely way to start the day. But I typically will find something else to sip at for the rest of the day. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So, what we're gonna do, there's a tiny bit left. Oops. Okay, I made a goof. We actually don't want, we don't want the kettle to be at 190, we want it to be at 180. However, in the interim, actually, you know what? Let's refill this. Oh. Those damn lemon stealing hornets. Lemon stealing whores is one of the best videos. Okay, this will just take a moment. Oh, I think my hands got a little sunburned. Not really. No, they're fine. So we're going to set aside the shiboridashi. I would like to rinse this out. Rinse out my cup. Keep going, little fella. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just needed your attention for a moment. Oh, darn it. I am mucking up everything that I set up. Okay, so we'll set this aside. I just want to show you all. Moistma, need you to move a little bit. There. And now we're going to measure out about 3.5 grams. If you're trying out a new oolong, I would generally say about 5 grams for half a cup. No, we'll just do a little bit of this action. I'm really lazy. Whoops. 3.5 grams. You can get a little more aggressive. You can have a little bit more tea with a baozhong like this. Is there any elitism as to how the kettle is heated? Nah, just need warm water. However, one thing I would highly recommend, use filtered water. Filtered water. The problem is if your water is chlorinated, as it frequently is, it can interfere with the flavor. So I would... Oh! We're a little bit packed here. So I would highly recommend using filtered water. Just get a water filter. It's a good starting point. A lot of tea enthusiasts say you need to use spring water, but spring water has a lot of variance, and different spring waters will have an effect on the flavor. The effect depends on the spring water, and like it's really not precise. It's kind of an extreme extent to go and get spring water for all of your tea. So if you really are trying to, like if you're really going down that rabbit hole, you can do spring water. I don't. I just use filtered water. Filtered water is never bad, at the very least. Said the thing. Oh yeah, you like this little teapot? It's actually on my BRB screen. Check it out. See? The artist put it onto the BRB screen. Welcome in, Stefan. So, here's what we're going to do. The water is already heated. Moistma is here. We are going to do one very short steep. We're just going to get the leaves wet, and this will help wake them up and also wash off any like dust, any tea dust that might make it a little bitter. One thing that's really nice about having a tea tray, by the way, is if you rinse the leaves and you're having a rather aromatic tea, that aroma will start to permeate the room. That's what I've found. I'm gonna smell these leaves. These leaves are so good. Distilled water. You know where, Ducky? I've never tried distilled water with tea. If you try it, let me know. Also, if you are ever worried about pesticides on tea, rinsing, doing one quick little rinse like I just did, will help get rid of it. Studies have been done on this, actually. Research. It will wash off most of the pesticides. Don't drink straight from the teapot. I'm not a coward. Hey, Meowpie. How are you doing? That'll do. I love... Can you guys see this? Yeah, you can. Good. I love this teapot. This is actually a gift for a friend that I'm using until I see them. I got it specifically because they're new to tea, and I thought it was a very good beginner's teapot because it has the wide rim, easy to get the leaves in, small, good for making small amounts of tea and testing out teas. Look at those leaves. Can't really see them super well. There we go. It's the autofocus. And they will, as we continue to steep these leaves, they will gradually unfurl. Ha. I'm glad you all like me sharing, making my tea. I make your leaves unfurl. Is that so? Yeah? Yeah? Hey, Meowpie, you still want to do that co-op campaign we were talking about a million years ago? We were talking about doing some streams of Total Warhammer together long time ago. Oh, hey Meowpie, my brother and I are playing a co-op Manfred von Karstein and Arkan the Black playthrough. The idea being we shall spread vampiric corruption and take over Nehekara. And from there, the world. Arkan is strong. Arkan is really good. The sea is lovely. Manpire? No. Nyanpire? My brother was feeling like playing vampire counts. Yeah, Manfred is a raid boss. Terrifying and a caster. We're getting a little niche. I don't want to get too niche. Although it would be very fun, I was thinking, to do a stream where I have chat give me ideas for space empires and I have to make them in Stellaris. because Stellaris is very robust. Mizuki, the experience that I've had is that there's a tea for everyone. Like, everyone has a tea that they enjoy. They just have to find it. Tea is an extremely diverse beverage. How do I make tea when I'm camping or traveling? Well, when I went traveling with my parents, well, with my family, not just parents, I brought along, my mom actually specifically requested that I bring my tea stuff to make tea for everyone. I brought my kettle and my filter and everything to steep it, and I brought some of my favorite teas. But if you're camping, you can heat water in a kettle. There's no reason you can't. And if you get the water to boiling, here's what you can do to approximate temperature. You can pour the water between two vessels, and every time you pour it, it loses about, I think, 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's suppose you want water that's about 190 degrees. You take the water, you pour it into a cup, that brings it down to about 200. Then you can pour it into another vessel, that brings it down to 190, and then you can pour it into onto your tea. You know, results may vary depending on the vessel and how quickly you do it and how much you aerate the water with it, but it's a rule of thumb. Kickstarter for a tabletop game where you can Oog board, that sounds insane. Math, no. You're subtracting 10. I can't get simpler like that for you. I have not read the Book of Tea. I have not. I know that there's a lot of literature on tea that I just not have read. No, that's fair, Oogboard. Yeah, you're welcome to share it. Nobody said there be math. You gotta measure out the leaves. Measuring by weight, by the way, is much better than measuring out by volume, because teas can vary a lot by volume. But measuring out by weight means you'll always get the same amount of leaf. So I highly recommend getting a little scale. Don't have to, but you can. It will be very helpful, especially when you're experimenting, because you'll be able to track minute changes. It helps a lot. To math, me want hot leaf juice now. This isn't tea, this is hot leaf juice. No, today has been comfy. Thank you all for such a warm welcome back. I am very happy to be back. I'm gonna... Today I'm going to figure out my schedule for next week. And I'll post that tomorrow after stream. I'll plan everything out. See if I can snare Nick in to talk about some horror. He is the perfect companion for that. And maybe we can convince Alfie to come in as well. That'd be fantastic. Oh, Mizuki, I'm glad. You know, streaming has been such a lovely thing. I feel like I have so many eyes on me when I'm on YouTube, and just coming in for stream and having something comfy and just having fun is so nice. It's still performance in one way or another, but on YouTube I feel like there's a lot of very specific expectation, and on stream I can experiment a little more, vibe a little more. It's a lot more relaxing. It's stressful in its own way. Always is. Any creative endeavor is. Some horrors in this house. Good. Good. I did the gecko blink thing again. Hold on. Okay. It's easier to do from left to right as opposed to right to left. Oh my god, that would be an amazing animated emote. Hold on. I'm putting in a request. Hold on, I'm putting this in right now into the ASTRALINE Discord. Let me see. Is it? No. Here. Okay. I'm gonna ping Evo with this. Animated emote quest. Lizard blink. Lizard blink. Empty stare where the eyes blink one after the other. What's a good example of this? Oh my god, a lick. I am not getting a lick emote. What's a good example? Yeah. I want an example to put in, right? A reference. Is there like a good pop culture example of this? Homer Simpson did that. Hold on. Simpson blink. Make it like a fisheye. Blink 182. No, fuck off. Oh my god, you've got the dud. Lizard blink. That'll do. I'll find an example. Blank stare like, yeah, Desert Pagoda. That's such a good one. Oh boy. No, you're welcome to be here for background noise. I am happy to be background noise. My videos all are. My streams are. I'm just happy if I can make people's days a little comfier. Stole a slow blink. Okay. Let me pull that up. Stole a slow blink. I'm not seeing it. Shit. Oh my god. Are people making AMVs for a hell of a boss? I don't know why I didn't think about this, but it makes sense, right? I'll figure something out. Hey, they're having a blast. I don't mind. Hell of a Boss and like Has Been Hotel both give off like high school anime fan watching fan subs energy. Does anyone else feel that way? Oh, go for it, Novas. Yes. But I feel like the people who are really into Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel absolutely are the same people who like they made AMVs and they picked up how to draw anime books from their library, and they definitely what else they would like run with their arms behind their back. All of them have done it at least once just to give it a try. Is it actually faster? They have Wattpad aura. Yes, they're having a great time. Good for them. Also, Ashley is a huge sweetheart. I've gotten to talk with her. Weeb. No. This isn't just weeb. This is a very specific kind of weeb. Right? Like, this is different. This is, like, very specific feeling. Cobalt, I'm glad. Oh, yeah. No, the creator did. Yeah, no, this was all purposeful. This was all very purposeful. It was Sonic running. Okay. Weeb Plus. It's like a more specific kind of weeb. I have the power of God and anime on my side. Ah! Chuny? Nah, Chuny's a little different from to my understanding. Not that my knowledge of anime terminology is terribly advanced. Subspecies. We're gonna play Bene Gesserit and breed the Kwisatz Haderach of weebs. Muad weeb, muad weeb, muad weeb. Fuck. That's the stupidest thing I've ever done. That is the stupidest thing I have ever done. Muad weeb. Fuck, this is the worst. Oh my god, okay, so like, something that we agreed on is that after I wrote like the bones of the script for my lore video, Mary came in and made it Chuny. But that's what it needed. What's in my pocket? What? Oh, it's been a while since I've worn these. Mary is a Chuny. I've heard that it's not necessarily a pejorative term. That's something that surprised me. Like, Chuny is not necessarily derogatory. Oh, I can smell your bones from here. Weeb Mubarak. No, Mary made my lore so much more Chuny, and like, it needed it. Okay, I've talked about this before, but when I write with Mary, I come up with concepts and I write the dialogue, and he takes the bones of what I make and gives it meat and makes it consumable, because you can't eat bones. He helps make my ideas into things that people actually want to read and watch. Because nothing I make is very digestible. It started derogatory? I thought so. You can't eat bones, not with that attitude, coward. I'm just taking a few breaths, because long week. Long week. I am tired. Oof, I'm the good kind of sore. Yeah, I was talking about it earlier. My shoulders, oof. Kayaking does quite a number to your shoulders. Oh my. Oh dear. You can make good broths with bones, yeah. No, kayaking just destroys. Yeah, I was busy touching grass, as I am wont to do on occasion. Highly recommend kayaking, by the way. Very accessible. We might Tengu. Maybe. Right? Like, we're still kind of discussing everything that we want to do. And how we want to do ASTRALINE. We're really in a feeling things out phase right now. Still getting some things established. For example, I have some assets that are either in the pipeline or done, and I just need to apply. My stinger is done, you guys, and it looks so good. I just need to get it set up. I'm going to need help doing so, but it looks good. It might not be around until next week, but it looks really, really good. Same people who did my alerts. Am I a bee now? Yeah. And it's hip to fuck bees. It's hip to fuck bees. I don't think I can play it on stream without the copyright holders getting mad. I'm just gonna link some required viewing in chat real quick. Remastered. Let me. Where is it? Where is it specifically? Hold on. Yes, I fuck my bees. Fuck. Fuck. I know where that fuck comes from. That's from, it's from, what are they called? I remember they're like the magicians. Penn and Teller. Thank you. Yeah, it's Penn and Teller. I can't remember which one is which. Fuck. One of them going, shut the fuck up. It's Penn. Okay. Teller is the silent one. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. I thought it was Penn. I just wasn't sure. I'm trying to make fewer... My problem is that sometimes when I talk, I think I sound very authoritative, and so I will say things of which I am not certain very authoritatively. That's a little bit of a problem. Spectral is everyone's teller. Oh, you're lovely, though. And we appreciate you. Desert bus stream when? Ooh. There's a thought. Confidently wrong. That's the thing is, like, I'm not always confident. I just speak. I sound confident. He is saying things concisely and clearly. I will believe everything he says. Yes. Desert bus VR? Fuck that. No. Fuck that. Fuck you. I'm not doing that. everyone. Thank you so much for the warm welcome back. It was absolutely lovely. But I think I have some things I need to get done. Among them, I was asked to record narration for a another 40k lore video, actually, from Remlia's. He just approached me and was like, hey, am I narrating this? I'm like, yeah, fuck it, sure. I'll make a little time for you. I haven't read the script yet, so I'm gonna have to check it out. Also, Kijit needs a browf. He needs a browf. So I need to record that. Just a few things here and there. What else was it that I really needed to get done? Hold on, I have a list for this. I took care of that. Actually, that's it. Ooh, I wanted to read the Mage rulebook front to back. So I might continue doing that today. Sipping tea, listening to music, and just reading the Mage the Ascension rulebook. But I think this is where we call it. I wonder, is Lumi still streaming? Lumi is streaming Crab Game? We're gonna bother Lumi. Oh, Mixmaster. Thanks for the fresh sub. 3 months in advance. Okay, we have to get cancelled. So that there's sub to a cancelled streamer for 3 months. Fuck, I need an opinion. I need an opinion. Fuck. What's an opinion that will get me cancelled? Ooh. The most interesting part about the Star Wars prequel trilogy was the politics. And if they had just focused in more on the politics and related all of the action to it, it would have made that trilogy way more interesting. There's my opinion. There is my cancelable opinion. The politics are really interesting, and if they just focused in more on them, it would have given context to all of the action in a much better way. The reason that the lightsaber duels in the original trilogy were interesting was because they had weight. And I think that the politics could have easily been the weight that the original trilogy needed, but instead they needed Hayden Christensen looking out sullenly and being a bitch more. Ice cold take. Shut up. Basically, I just wanted Dune. Did I do something new with the audio? No, I think it might just be the sea air that did something to my voice. Fred and his chronically cold takes. If Star Wars were more like Dune. Now the problem is I just wanted Star Wars to be Dune. Calypso, by the way, thanks for the 20 months. God damn. Great to see you back. Here's a minging for you. Suck ya, dad. I am very happy to be background noise. Legitimately makes me happy. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Whoops. Okay. We are going to go bother Lumi. Okay, what do we got? What do we need our raid message to be? Ooh, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? From today. Today was really chill. I'm a gamer. Something about God being dead. Licka the eyeball. Oh, that'll get her. Okay, yeah, licka the eyeball. No, absolutely, that's what it's going to be. Alright, everyone, thank you for hanging out. It has been absolutely lovely. I will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have a stream too. Same time. I'll try to be on time. I just desperately needed sleep. My body was just not having it. Oh, Garden of Orchids, thank you. Oh. They like me. They're nuzzling my flesh with their noses. I need to watch Lilo and Stitch again. Everyone, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having all of you. I'll see you tomorrow. And if I don't, have a lovely weekend. Goodbye. Stay hydrated.